Title: Be a Bad Neighbor? So Can I. Smirk: My senior mom, my fiance and I stay in a 2BR apartment in a smaller gated complex for about a year now. It's always been quiet and never could hear the neighbors through the walls or anything. Until our newest neighbors moved in next door after the last people moved out. Well, this guy drives expensive cars and is a rapper, I guess. Well, anyways, it started with him and his wife parking in the handicap spot where my mom parks with a HC sticker. This guy does not have one and my mom legitimately needs the spot. Next started with the loud TVs, music through the walls after night hours 1 to 5 a.m. Well, last night I bring my new doggo with me to pick up my fiance from work. After I pick her up, we're walking back into our apartment. I'm unlocking the door and I hear her say, "I think the dog just peed on their doormat." Long behold, she did after I checked and to go walk the dog then clean the doormat. Well, I'm outside walking the dog, and guess who comes walking out to their car in only socks with no shoes on? The neighbor. Man facepalming, light skin tone. I was mortified, just praying he wouldn't say anything about stepping in piss and there be a confrontation at 3 in the morning. He didn't say anything, but we talked again about the loud noise and he apologized. Title: Neighbors cut branches off trees, we plant more. This is not done yet, but I thought it was worth a share. My parents and our neighbors have hated each other for years, but it hasn't been anything too serious. But recently, the neighbors have been cutting branches off of our trees, and may permanently damage them. So the day after they did it for the third time, we went tree shopping and picked a sugar maple to put in the space between two of our trees. We moved it later, and it came yesterday. It feels nice to have a new tree. My mom called it a spite tree, and we are planning to put another one in because we moved the first's planting spot. Title: Oh, you want to be a creep? Here, let me give you a taste of your own medicine. So I work at a boba place and started working there for about a couple months now. I wouldn't say I'm an expert at customer service, but I do know the good and bad side of it, especially when customers feel entitled to get away with everything. My company had always made it clear that we must solve any issues with customer with a smile and with kindness, which I don't mind as I am not a confrontational or violent person. This day I was working the morning shift and it happened to get fast really quickly with mobile orders and in-store orders coming in fast. For our coffees, which are popular during the morning, we had to finish brewing fresh espresso, as it is one of the options to add more espresso shots into your drinks. I quickly explained to our customers the situation and that we'll get to their drinks right away. The way we are separated from the front view of the store to the back where we prepare the drinks is through two separate glass barriers. One is right at the front where customers can see us but still are a bit far. The other at further back into the kitchen, where you would literally have to be really tall in order to see us preparing drinks. So as I come back from boiling boba, I see a tall white male standing over the second glass barrier, just staring at us. I ask him if he's here for a mobile order or if he needed anything. He just shrugged his shoulders and said, "Nope, just watching." Which creeped me and my coworkers out as we were literally being watched doing everything we did, and he did all this with an eerie smile. And it didn't make it any less creepier that we were all girls at this shift. I took my shift leader to the back and asked, "Is he allowed to do that?" Which there was no policy that said he couldn't, and we couldn't really stop him, what my shift leader said. I was just super tense the whole time working as he was there, so I did the one thing I could think of doing. If he wanted to look at us without any hesitation, why shouldn't I? So I legit made direct eye contact with this man and did all my work, preparing drinks, putting labels on cups, and refilling utensils, without losing focus, and I kept all this up with a smile. He noticed this and quickly tried looking elsewhere around me, but I did not lose the eye contact, and then he angrily asked for my name. Which OFC I gave him a fake name and he quickly went back to where the other customers were standing. My heart was racing and my face was beet red, but the satisfaction that he felt just as uncomfortable as he made us was worth it. I later found out he's actually a regular that does that all the time, but only to shifts where there's only females at. However, now when he sees me from the front of the first window barrier, he doesn't try coming any closer. I know if he does, I'll just do it again. Title: My brother was being rude about my alarm waking him up, so I set it to 5:35 a.m. My alarm, set at 8 a.m. so not early at all, woke my brother up a few minutes before his alarm. Title: I achieved revenge on behalf of a radio DJ and it paid off quite well. There was a pretty mouthy DJ that got into an extended argument with an anonymous listener. This was the early days of the World Wide Web, and this person had created a web page dedicated to harassing this DJ. It eventually got really nasty, with the listener threatening physical harm. Of course the DJ wasn't innocent since he just couldn't stop publicly running his mouth. One day I hear the DJ mention he will reward anyone who can identify this listener. I noticed on the listener's website that he was looking to upgrade his computer. I emailed him, saying I heard some of the stuff the DJ was saying and that he was an ass, and that I can get him computer hardware cheap. Which is true. I got him to give me a fax number to send an invoice to be paid, and he got a great deal on some computer upgrades. I now had a name, address and a fax number. I email the DJ and let him know what I have, and he asks me to visit him at the studio. When I arrive I give him the info and he recognizes the fax number as being very similar to the work number of his mother, on a military base. He calls his mom and she looks it up and gives him the details, including the chain of command in that particular unit. The DJ calls and speaks with him, telling him that he has to call in and make a public apology, say how great the DJ is and how he was just jealous of him. If he doesn't, the DJ threatened to tell his chain of command what he was doing. The DJ lets the feud simmer a few days, then starts hyping up some made-up ultimate showdown and that the listener has agreed to come into the studio and fight. All fake of course. But the DJ invites me in on that day and basically he talks up some story and then this guy calls and says what the DJ told him to say. The DJ makes fun of him, calling him a coward for backing out on the fake fight and lots of other made-up stuff, but it makes for good radio drama, I guess. Anyway, after that radio segment the DJ thanks me and starts handing me stuff. About 50 promo CDs, 3 pairs of concert tickets, several t-shirts, VIP passes for some popular clubs, a gift certificate for a nice restaurant and some frisbees. I walk out of there with a box full of awesome